Hi, this is Bobby Kimbrough, and welcome to Off the Cuffs. I'm excited to have with me a high school friend, longtime friend, Miss Ericka. Not Ericka Badu, but Ericka. So listen, when we invite people here, we always like for them to tell us a little bit about themselves. Tell us your name, what you feel comfortable sharing with us. And I'm going to tell the people why I invited you here once you do your basic introduction.
My name is Ericka Asbury, and I did go to school with Bobby, and I was invited here because...
That's my line. You can't take my line while you're invited here. But go ahead since you done told it.
Let me see. He said this is going to be strictly off the cuff. He's going to go in, so I guess we've already went in. But anyway, I grew up here in Winston-Salem and still living out in the Ogden Station area where I grew up at. And I currently work out in Lexington at a drug and alcohol treatment facility, Path of Hope, and just love what I do. And that's one of the reasons that I believe I'm here with Sheriff Kimbrough.
No, let me tell you why you're here. So you came to Officer Love's retirement. And, we had our mask on. It was, I guess, sort of toward the end of COVID, or sort of in when you could take your mask off. And I didn't recognize you sitting back there in the back. And you got up and you had a poem, a story, and it touched me to where I told them I gotta have her on the podcast because you have a story. Sometimes in life we hold the story, but this story is to be told. And so I want you to do me a favor before we go any further. I want you to recite that poem. Can you do that?
I can.
I'm listening.
The name of the poem is Hanging Tough, and it is my story for the last 30 years. Hanging tough. When growing up, it was hard to know the path my life would someday go. I was mean, I was spoiled, I wanted my way. Little did I know that it would end one day. Before I knew it, I was suddenly grown, but not responsible enough to leave home. My life took a twist and I turned to dope. The dealer didn't say it would be hard to cope. Chasing that madness thinking I was cool. Later to find out I had just been a fool. Just 2 months later, I found myself in jail, high as a kite and no money for bail. I turned to my family and they looked at me in shame. And deep down I knew that only I was to blame. But then I was told there is a better way. Just go to a meeting, they have the NA. NA, I said, what can they do for me? They said, just go to a meeting and then I'd see. I went as they said, and they talked about not using drugs. And before I left, they gave me plenty of hugs. The next meeting I said, to join, what's the cost? They said I'd already paid with all that I'd lost. Mm-hmm. I was told to make a meeting every day and never forget that I must always pray. To call my sponsor every day, if just to say hello. And if I felt like using, to call and let her know. Those people in NA, they have really been a friend because they let me know I don't have to use again. And today I know that even if things get rough, I just call a recovering addict and keep hanging tough.
That's strong. So how many years you been clean now?
I've been clean for 30 years.
Wow. And so, we have a lot of people that come and sit at the table from all walks of life, from politicians to professional athletes to bull riders. And when I heard your story, I thought it was one of hope. A lot of people out there struggling with a lot of things, a lot of addictions. But yet, you're still here. Yet, you're willing to tell your story. And so, I felt compelled to invite you because I feel like there's so many people out there that need to hear your story, so many people out there that can benefit from it. And that's what compelled me to bring you to Off the Cuffs. So tell me, I know that you grew up in Ogburn Station. I know you went to what I consider one of the best high schools in the county, North Forsyth. Some may disagree. So tell me, how did you end up, and what were some of the things that brought you back to realizing that I don't have to do that?
Well, I think in my family, you know, we were brought up very strict. And I only used for 47 days. That was it. I had taken thousands of dollars from my dad. He had his own company. And once I ended up in jail and Officer Ingram telling me, you know, you feel out of place. They had H&I here in the jail at that time. And she told me, you know, go to these meetings. And I'm like, what meetings? She said, just go. I didn't know what NA was, Narcotics Anonymous, or anything. But once the lady that was in there that had came in to bring a meeting in, when she explained it to me, and she was talking, I could relate to what she was saying. And she kept telling me, you know, when you get out, make a meeting. And I kept telling her I was never going to get out because Judge Roland Hayes had given me so much time that I kept telling her I'm never going to get out. You know, I'm never going to get out. And I was waiting on an appeal. And she kept telling me, when you get out, just make a meeting. And I sat here and sat here and I sat here in the jail. And when I got out and I went to a meeting, she was there and she gave me a hug. And she said, I told you were going to make it out. But I knew that I didn't have to live the way that I had lived those 47 days out there in the streets.
You know what's so interesting about this is that you don't look like what you've been through. You know, people always say that I've been through this, I've been through that. And some of those folks that say that, they actually look like what they've been through. You don't. And I say that because there is somebody out there right now that about to take that ride. Mm-hmm. You know, and I always talk about this, that there's those that are getting ready, those that are in it, those that are starting their way back to recovery, but then there's those that don't make it out. Right. You know, I go on those calls every day, drug over addictions. I go on those calls so many times, cold white, somebody's died, another loved one is OD'd. And so what advice, I mean, sitting here, you and I having this conversation, 30 years of sobriety, what would you say to someone? I mean, how do you relate? So as a counselor now, how do you relate to people that come and sit and talk with you? What message do you give somebody that is about to make that mistake or even has began using drugs? Well,
I do work at a treatment facility.
Okay.
And so, and I am the women's residential treatment manager. And what I tell the ladies when they come into treatment is that, you know, doing 28 days of treatment, it may seem like it's going to be a long time.
What is that like? What is treatment like? You know, I hear people say that. Is that like a boot camp? What is that like?
No, it's not. It's a house. There's no gate around. They can leave anytime they want to. If they feel like they come in the first day that they don't want to stay, they can sign a paper saying that they're leaving against clinical advice and they can leave.
Right.
You know, we try to talk to them and say, you know, give it a try, you know, stay the first night and see how it is, you know. But the thing is that it's coming in, taking classes, learning about addiction and what it can do for you. Because as you stated, that there's going to be somebody that's going to pick up a drug today for the very first time, not knowing what it's going to do. There's going to be a baby born into addiction today, you know, that doesn't have a choice. Or there's going to be somebody that laid down last night that didn't wake up this morning.
That's a fact.
You know, so it's hard when somebody gets into something or that's going to try a drug for the first time and not knowing that they're going to become addicted, which happened to me. You know, following behind somebody, having never drank alcohol before, having never smoked a joint before, and smoking cocaine for the first time. And after that, for the next 47 days, looking for that first high again, something that I was never going to get again.
You know, it's interesting when you say that. We look at people every day and you say, nah, not them, not that, right? And when you stood up in the mustard room a month or so ago, and you stood up and I realized who you were and you were telling this story, I said, wow. Because again, we look at people every day and have no idea what they've been through. We look at people every day and say, nah, they wouldn't do that. She wouldn't do that. And knowing you, this young, pretty girl, square, growing up, right? Straight laced. To hear you tell that, I never knew that. And for you to say that, I applaud you for sharing your story, because that requires a lot of courage for someone to be transparent and be vulnerable like that. And so I applaud you for, one, coming, two, for telling your story, and three, for trying to save these women or people that go down that road. Because, you know, my father used to always say, there go I, had it not been for the grace of God. That's one of his favorite things that he says all the time. And it is amazing that you survived that, because I know you were talking about the great facilities we had at the detention center.
Right.
I know you won't say something smart about the detention center, but it's all right. It's all right. But what you did get from it, though, you talked about love and how Officer Love, how she treated you like a human being in spite of. She would give you words of encouragement in spite of. And that was the hope, and that was the guidance that you needed to get you back center. So after all you've been through and looking back on that, what would you say to somebody? What advice would you give them? You know, people are searching every day for advice to tell their kids. How do you know what to look for? You know, someone that's using, because a lot of people don't even know their kids are using or know that their daughters use. We look at our daughters as dainty, pretty, and we think, oh no.
Well, the thing is, like, I have a daughter that's 27. She was brought up in the rooms, you know.
When you say brought up in the rooms, what does that mean?
Well, from a kid, you know, I have 30 years clean. She's never seen me or her dad in active addiction. Okay. So when we went to meetings, we took her with us. Wow. So, you know, so she knows all the cliches, and you know, if we're doing something in the house and she'll tell us, y'all need to go to a meeting, you know, she'll say something to get us out of the house because of COVID. You know, we hadn't been going. And, the meetings haven't started back, or y'all are going to do a meeting on Zoom or something like that.
You still go to meetings?
Yes, even after 30 years, because I am no different from anybody that may have just started going to a meeting, that has 30 days or just has a year. All any of us have is today. Because I can't say that if my drug of choice was sitting here right in front of me, that I may not have the willpower not to pick it up. Will I pick it up, or will I pick up the phone and call my sponsor? I still have a sponsor that I call on a regular basis because, you know, I have a husband that is having some medical issues. I have a sister that's having medical issues. My mother is having medical issues. Somebody that I can call and say, look, this is what I'm going through. Somebody else that's in recovery may not be able to handle that and may relapse. But I can pick up the phone and I can call my sponsor, or I can pick up this drug and let that relieve me.
So what kind of advice, if you call a sponsor, what do they say to you?
Ericka, do you need me to come over? Ericka, look, you, no matter what, you don't have to use. You know, you can get through this. In recovery, I have lost my dad, my brother, a niece. I've lost many family members, but what I did was I reached out to the NA community, and they've supported me. They've sat with me all night long, and that's what they do, not just for me, for anybody that's in recovery. You know, it's just like a whole another family.
That's strong. So when you call, they'll come out and they sit with you. They talk
come
with
out,
you.
They come out. They sit with you. They talk to you. You know, so and they support you. So, and that's what anybody, even in treatment, you know, if somebody knocks on the office door and say, I need to talk, that's what we're there for. You know, that's what the clinicians are there for. You know, if they need to talk to their clinician, you know, somebody's there to talk to them. You know, then once they leave treatment, then they can go to halfway houses. They can go to Oxford houses where they can stay for 6 months to a year. You can stay at an Oxford house long term. So there is always help available.
You know, that's interesting. You said something that, you know, for 20 plus years in my previous career as a special agent, fighting the narcotic, as they called it, the drug war. I've heard people say something that you just said when we would talk with trying to get that same feeling that they got when we asked them why. And they would say something similar to what you said, trying to get that same high, which caused me to, whether it was increase the dosage, try something else, mix them or whatever. And when you said that, the first thing that came to my mind was chasing that first high.
And you're never going to get it again. You're never going to get it again. And that's why people continue to use, but it's never going to happen again.
And you know what's interesting when you say that, we talk about addictions, right? And so, and stress brings it on. So like when I'm stressed or something, I'll go on the internet and order neckties, right? Or a suit or bottles of cologne, right? And sometimes I say, you know what, or maybe I'm addicted to neckties, or maybe I'm addicted to, and I guess maybe that's my way of dealing with stress. You know, we all have things that cause us to, how do we relieve what we're going through? Right. But, you know, I kind of get that when you talked about the stresses. When my mother passed in November, I actually felt the stress of that, you know, having to take on the responsibility of now having my father with me. You know, I love it, but it still requires work, you know, making sure this, and everything is in place for him. And I found myself, you know, like the Amazon man was showing up at least every other day, and I was buying silly stuff that I probably don't even wear, you know. It looked good on the internet, so hey, let me order this necktie, let me order this, let me order that. And so, you know, growing up for me on 25th Street, not too far from you, right there near Bloom Park, the guys that I was running with, they probably would smoke a little weed or drink a little Mad Dog or a little Boom Farm. And I remember I thought I was grown, and, you know, people probably heard me tell this story at least 5 or 6 times, that I thought I was grown and I would try to drink a little Boom Farm, a Mad Dog with the guys. And my one experience cleared me of all of that, getting intoxicated and bumping my head and the guys taking me home, ringing the doorbell and leaving me. And my father, when I did something right, I was my mother's child. When I did something wrong, she would say, Bobby, look at your son.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to your son. And so I remember my dad having that conversation with me, reminding me that he worked 2 jobs at Ronald's and B&G Pie Company. And this is how you repay me. I never forgot that. Mm-hmm. To where he wouldn't even talk to me for about a week or 2. And I guess the hardest thing for me was going to him saying, Dad, I'll never do that again. And I hadn't had a drink of alcohol since I was 14, right? Mad Dog or Boom Farm or whatever you want to call it, right? And so when people say that they were addicted to something, and we're talking about drugs, hard drugs, it frightens me, because I don't even know how you deal with it. How did you shake it? You know, for something to have that kind of control over you. And when I worked in cities like Detroit and big cities, and I saw how people were struggling with it, and what it would do to people. And so for you to have survived it, and for you to still be able to tell your story is amazing. I hope and pray that some young person is hearing this, and it's going to make a difference or a turn and realize, hey, I don't have to do that. You know, I don't have to try that. So let me ask you a question, right? Which brings me to, what made you try it? You know, I always like to ask people, what made you do it? I always like to ask the why.
I was saying earlier, I met a girl, and she would be dressed just as neatly as we are.
Right.
But she would leave, and when she would come back, she may have on somebody else's clothes. She may or may not have on shoes.
Wow.
But she would look so different. And one night I followed her, and she went down in it's Kimberly Park. That's what's on Northwest Boulevard, right?
Mm-hmm.
I followed her down there, and she went in this house, and she asked me, "What you doing down here?" I said, "I followed you. I wanted to know what you were doing." And she said, "You need to get out." No, I ain't gonna get out. She said, "You need to get out." No, I'm not gonna get out.
How old were you?
I was 33. And no, I'm not gonna get out, you know. And she said, you don't need to be here. So I stayed in there. I saw them smoking, didn't know what they were doing. And I said, let me try. And she said no. But the guy said, no, let her try. He put this thing to my mouth. I at the time didn't know it was a stem. He said, breathe in.
What is it?
A stem. It was a crack pipe.
Oh, a pipe. Okay.
Yeah. And he put it to my mouth. He said, breathe in. I ain't never smoked cigarettes before. I inhaled. And when I breathed out, I cannot tell you the feeling that I felt. But I just remember sitting down. And for the next 47 days, that's where I went. But in the process, I was taking checks from my dad.
Mm.
And that's what I did. And I'm in there one day, and I heard somebody say, man down. Now, I'm naive. I ain't never been in the streets.
Police.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that. I thought somebody had passed out. So
Man down, police.
I didn't know that. So I sat there. I see everybody running past me, but I'm thinking they running to see who had passed out. So I sit there because I'm too high to get up.
That would have been the 90s, right?
Yeah. 91.
Yeah, that was a phrase back then. When I remember that when I was out on the streets as an agent. Man down.
I'm sitting there. I couldn't get up. I couldn't talk. And they came in. You live here? Whose house is it? You know them people? You know. And when I get arrested, while I'm in jail, that's when they find out about all the checks that I had wrote on my daddy's account.
Right.
And so that's how I get my time.
Wow.
And you talk about you and your dad and how he got mad at you for drinking and how you repaid him. I remember after I got out of jail, my dad's office was in the back of the house. So after I went over to my parents' house after that, and I had to use the bathroom. And the bathroom was in the back of the house near my dad's office. And my dad told me I couldn't use the bathroom. And I said, why? He didn't say anything, but my mama told me, because his office back there. Well, that's where I was going back there getting his check. So every time I went over there, if I had to use the bathroom or something, I always had to leave. Now, I'm clean now. But my dad wouldn't let me in the back of the house.
Bathroom.
Yeah, because his
Didn't
checks back
trust
there.
you.
He
Didn't
didn't
trust you.
trust me. So, some time had went by, and I told my mama one day, and I had told my dad that I was sorry, and that I would pay him back. I had to use the bathroom one day, and I was like, Mom, I gotta go. Gotta use the bathroom. And my daddy said, go on back there and use the bathroom. He never told me that he forgave me, but I knew that
He
day
forgave you.
that he told me I could use the bathroom.
That was his way of saying forgiving you.
He had forgiven me.
Because you still was his baby girl.
Right. And they say attraction rather than promotion.
Yeah.
You don't have to, once you get clean, you don't have to go and tell somebody, look at me now, I'm clean now.
Mm-hmm.
They gonna know you're clean.
By
the way you talk, by the way you act.
Exactly.
You're working, you're doing things, So you don't have to promote recovery.
Actions over conversation.
Right. It's by what you're doing, by how you're acting. If you're showing up, and I can call and say, Daddy, I just called today to tell you I love you. That's all I got to say.
Wow.
I ain't got to say, Daddy, I'm clean now.
Wow.
He gonna know.
Wow. She doing all right.
Yeah.
But you know what? When you look back on that, sometimes in life, a setback is what we needed in order for us to come back. Exactly.
Yes.
And so that may have saved your life.
You're right.
Yeah. Because no telling what could have transpired after that, or no matter what or where that would have taken you.
Right.
Yeah. That's all right.
Yeah.
So how you feeling now?
I'm feeling good. I love my job. I love what I do. I love being able to give back and help others, because somebody helped me, So if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't say that I would do it any differently.
Yeah.
Because I love the life I have today,
So, the word on the street is that you had some concerns or something you wanted to say to me. So, I thought I'd give you this moment to ask me any question, to say something, because I know that, you hanging out with Officer Love, and I'm sure y'all got jokes, and I'm sure that it's something you might want to say. And so, I just thought I'd let you say what you want to say, or ask anything you want to ask.
What about H&I meetings in the jail?
H&I meetings in the jail?
Right. I mean, that's what saved me.
When you say H&I, a lot of people don't know what that means. What does H&I mean?
Hospitals and institutions. The same meetings that they had in the jail when I was in there.
So you're going to ask me this publicly, right?
I am going to ask you publicly.
Yeah,
because
okay.
if you can save just one life,
guess what?
Then you've done what you're supposed to do.
We only have to go down that road. If you feel that it's worth saving a life, and I believe it's worth saving a life, as they say on the street, say no more, say less. We're going to figure out how to get it done.
All right.
Say no more. Because anything that saves our people or save anybody from going down that road, I'm all for that. I mean, that was an easy one. I thought you was going to ask for something, or say something slick, but we was going to have to get security in here or something. I ain't know what you...
No, I ain't doing that. I said I wouldn't never go back to jail again, and I meant that.
Nah, you came back, though.
Oh, yeah.
To speak.
Look.
Don't never say you ain't coming back. See, I'm not coming back for that reason.
Oh, yeah, I ain't coming back for that reason.
I like that.
Yeah.
You come back to help, though, right?
Oh, yeah, I will come back to help.
Well, that's
I'll
what
come
we
back
want you
to help.
do.
I've already volunteered my services for some other things.
Seriously, you should. There's a lot of young women out there that will benefit from hearing your story. There are a lot more Erickas out there that have yet to go down that road that will love to hear that story, because so many times in life we think we're invincible. That ain't me. That won't catch me.
Mm-hmm.
It won't. And I go throughout this city, throughout this country. And a lot of times, like you said, you were following that lady to see where she was going and ended up in that spot. Sometimes we're following men and end up in that spot.
Right.
You know, a lot of reasons can put you in that spot. But I think that one of the things that we've got instilled in our young women and our young people is that, and even adults, because usually, like you said, you were 33, is that it's a better way. I don't have to experiment with that. I don't have to do that. Yeah.
Right. And they don't, you know, a lot of young people think that, you know, it's okay to smoke marijuana, but they don't know. Once they get tired of that high.
You know, that's a whole nother conversation. They finna legalize marijuana. That's a whole
right.
They finna legalize that.
Yeah, but once they get tired of that high. You
on the phone up saying, what y'all talking about? Marijuana's medical use. You know, you have a lot of feedback on that one. Yeah. So what's your thoughts on that since you brought it up?
Well, but once they get tired of that, how they gonna move on?
So you think we should legalize marijuana?
No.
Why you say no?
Well, because
I agree with you, but go ahead.
Once they get tired of that high, they gonna move on to something else.
It's a gateway drug.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just say no. Not because I'm in the field. Some people want to use it for pain.
In some places they already legalized, you know, some states.
Right. Yeah. But
federal government had no.
Yeah, but go look at their statistics.
Exactly.
Yeah, go look at their statistics at the people that are in treatment.
So you think that somebody that using marijuana eventually will use another drug?
Oh, sure.
Or try it at least, right?
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
Or
that's good stuff.
You look at the statistics of people. You have surgery on your knee, and the doctor gives you something for pain.
Hydrocodone.
Right. And so you keep taking it. Well, the next thing you know, you're having surgery on your other knee. Is it really hurting? You know, because the pain medicine makes you feel good.
You know, I've had several major surgeries, right? I had a total knee replacement. And I literally did not take the medicine. Yeah. I cried through that pain when I went to the physical therapy. I cried through it rather than take the medicine because I was afraid of taking it.
Because you become addicted.
And become addictive to that feeling, right?
Right.
And so I refused to. Even now, I could have a headache and I'm going to almost have to be passed out before I take something for my head, ibuprofen or Excedrin or something. But then again, you know, the way I drink Mountain Dews, this might be my choice right here, you know.
Well, I'm the same way with Mountain Dews. You can ask one of my coworkers.
Yeah, I drink them like morning, day, night, right? So they might already got me. The caffeine might already have me, right? Yeah. But I really appreciate you coming by today. I was serious about that, getting them into the detention center to help. We like for you to, set up some meetings. I would love to have you over there working with some of the young women there to talk to them, to get them, as you say, go to a meeting. I think that could be a game changer. Ericka, I appreciate you. It's always good to see you. You're looking good. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep helping to try to change lives. Before we go, again, I'm going to give you the last word before I take it home.
Well, all I would like to say, I appreciate you inviting me.
And
it's always good, any kind of way that you can get the word out about addiction and what it can do for anybody, but also to let anybody know that's out there that's in addiction that there is a better way of life.
So if somebody needing help, where they go? Where can they go?
Anybody that needs help, they can go to the hospital because the hospital will point them in the right direction and help them get into treatment. They can go to the health departments. They can go to Daymark. They can go to a Monarch if it's in your area, or you can call the crisis hotline. So there is help available.
We'll make sure we put this up on our site, those that may be needing help, where they can get help from.
Yes.
Again, I appreciate you coming by, stopping by. It's an amazing story. You don't look like what you've been through, right? And I want to appreciate you again. As always, we thank you for being a part of Off the Cuffs conversation. Have a great rest of your week.